Hey, how's it going? Let's actually look at some of the stories that were written. I think I actually meant to do that. Um, Honestly, Mistral Small might be my best answer. Uh, for my task. Okay, so let me see. Open in Explorer. Okay. Here's my graded results and my. I didn't mean to double click. And here are my graded results and my write-off results. Okay. Write a Python script which finds the median first and third quartile rated stories by the three interesting LLMs and prints them so I can read them as a human. Okay. I do hope it doesn't have to read the whole damn thing. If it could just, look at a few lines. I don't think it loads the entire file. Okay. I'll make a new script called sample files or something. New Python files, sample stories.py. Oh, okay. They're running the script. I guess that works. It's not what I intended, but that works. Okay. Script works perfectly. Goddamn right it does. Okay. I accidentally copied, which erased my clipboard. Okay. So let's see here. NumPy. NumPy is not installed. I seem to recall that having trouble running inside of the IDE. Do I need to switch to Jupyter Notebook? Because I can switch to Jupyter Notebook. I don't really remember why it had a problem. Well, it said it installed, so. Where does it open the... line? Open grade path, read, encoding, UTF-8. Okay, so let's see what we have here. So Mistral Small. The ghost of her brother's cologne hit her first. On the morning she was supposed to graduate, Jada opened the old uniform trunk one last time, and there it was, a sealed envelope with her name, tucked into the blue dress she'd never fill out as well as he had. Her brother Marcus, the perfect cadet, lost 2 years ago in training accident, they'd said. The principal's booming voice would soon echo in the gym, praising her leadership of the school's J.R. OTC battalion. Her full-ride scholarship to state was secured, a tribute to Marcus's legacy. This is the 25th percentile, so this is an example of not so great a story. Let's jump to the example of a good story. Okay, this is a little longer, but the camera was still warm when Leela found it under the bleachers. She didn't think twice about taking it to the dark room, the school's abandoned film lab where she spent lunch periods anyway. As the negative soaked in the developer, she hummed, expecting the usual pep rally shorts, cheerleaders, banner drops, the principal's corny jokes. But the images that emerged told a different story. Photo 1, Marcus Chen's scarred wrist, barely visible beneath his long sleeves. He'd worn a short-sleeved shirt to the rally, but in the moment captured days or weeks before, he stood alone in the bathroom mirror, studying his wounds like they were written in a language only he understood. Photo 2, Destiny Washington crying in a stairwell, mascara running. Okay, you know what? Getting kind of tired of reading, but this is actually kind of interesting. Hold on. It's not that I don't want to finish it, it's just that I mean, you know how it is.
Photo 2. Destiny Washington crying in the stairwell, mascara running, shoulders collapsed under invisible weight. Photo 3 after photo 3 revealed the hidden battles of her classmates, the cuts, the empty pill bottles, the bruises carefully concealed with makeup, the hollow eyes of students who smiled in hallways but screamed in silence. Lila's hands trembled as she reached for the last frame. Her own face stared back at her, standing in the school's main office with a box of matches. Tomorrow's date glowed in the corner, her breath caught. The camera showed the future, and tomorrow, according to this image, she would burn everything down. Lila's first instinct was panic, then clarity. She thought of Marcus's wounds, of Destiny's tears, of all those hidden battles. They weren't just victims of invisible pain. They were survivors. If they could keep fighting, so could she. She made a choice. That night, Lila called her school's crisis line and confessed everything. The camera, the visions, her darkest thoughts she'd never admitted to anyone. She met with counselors, with her parents, with Marcus and Destiny and the others whose wounds she'd witnessed. The next morning arrived without fire, without destruction, only healing. The camera, when she checked it days later, showed only blank frames, a future finally, blessedly her own.
Okay. That was interesting. I think it went over the word limit. No, I don't think so. I think it pushed the upper boundaries of the word limit. Okay, let's see here. DeepSeek's good version.
The wrong uniforms. The soldiers outside Westfield High weren't wearing American flags. Jada froze mid-step, her sneaker hovering above the linoleum as she stared through the gym doors. A battalion of them, black fatigues, no insignia, rifles slung too loose, like they'd never drilled a day in their limeys. The principal's voice crackled over the PA. Evacuation drill in 5 minutes, all students report to the gym. Her phone buzzed. A text from Dad, just 3 words. Don't go to the gym.
That's 3 words?
Jada's stomach dropped. Dad worked at the Pentagon, but he, never texted during drills. And those soldiers, their boots were wrong, too polished, too new, like costumes. Around her, sophomores groaned, shoving backpacks into lockers. No one else had noticed. No one else's dad had warned them. She had seconds to decide. Jada lunged for the fire alarm. The shriek split the air. Kids screamed, covering their ears. Teachers shouted, but the soldiers outside moved, fast, fanning out, sealing exits. Jada bolted for the side door, the one near the cafeteria dumpsters, the one Dad had pointed out last year when he'd picked her up late. Always have 2 exits, kid. She didn't look back. By the time she reached the tree line behind the school, sirens wailed. Real ones, not drill tones. Her phone lit up again. Dad, run. I'll find you. Jada didn't reply. She just ran, her breath ragged, the weight of what she'd done pressing harder than any backpack. She'd just outed her dad as a traitor to whatever this was, but she'd also bought her classmates time, and right now, that had to be enough.
I think that this read too much dystopian fiction, but I'll give it to it. That's pretty good. Pretty good. All right. So let's see. Mistral medium, 75th percentile. It was retracting like. What? What? It just cuts off? I wonder if it like malfunctioned or something. Mistral medium. Well, what is going on? I want to hear a Mistral medium. Damn it! Well, why is it rated so high? If it cuts off, I think it's like an output. Something, I don't know.
The compass was spinning like a startled thing when Leah unzipped her backpack. On the morning of the AP Calculus exam, this was not what she needed. She'd never seen the brass instrument before. She slapped it against her palm, and the needle finally caught, pointing with insistence down the empty east hallway, away from the gym where her classmates were gathering. Anxiety was an old companion, a buzzing in her ears that made words swim on the page. She gripped the compass. It offered a single, clear direction. She followed. It led to room 213, a chemistry lab abandoned for renovations. The door creaked open to dust and the sharp smell of old gas. On a stained counter lay the missing test booklet. Stuck to it was a typed confession of cheating, bearing her name and student ID. Ice flooded her veins. This would end everything, her valedictorian run, her college dreams. The Leah on the page was a stranger, but the note felt familiar. The letters, for once, didn't twist. Her dyslexia, her constant foe, became her lens. She saw the font was Perpetua, the same as the student council newsletters edited by Jason Wright, her only rival for the top spot. He'd once joked about her seeing things backwards. Leah didn't touch the booklet. Instead, she took out her phone and photographed everything. The compass on the counter, the note, the dusty footprints leading to the vent where the tests had likely been hidden. The evidence was no longer against her, but a map leading straight to the person who wanted to break her. She turned and walked calmly to the principal's office, the compass now still and cool in her pocket. Its only job done.
Okay. We need a check for completeness. It seems stories cut off sometimes. This might be related to the word limit. Maybe it was too strict. Well, whatever the reason. Okay, we need to check for completeness. It seems stories cut off sometimes. This might be related to the word limit. Maybe it's too strict. Yeah. I think we should do 90% Mistral small, 5% Mistral medium, 5% the other one, Deep Seek. All right, this sounds pretty good. Pretty good. Okay. We are going to be trying to generate stories to fill needed words. We will not be considering parts of speech, only strings of letters. Example, dove can be either he dove or the dove. We'll figure that out later. Okay. Yeah. If a story cuts off multiple times, we should back away. Probably just say flash fiction in the prompt rather than strictly cutting off, rather than a strict word limit. Okay, let's make sure. Okay. What in the hell? Make sure that this isn't enforcing a strict upper token limit. I noticed some stories cut off. Wanna make sure it's not my calls. Two to 3 sentences. Mistral client, no max tokens. Consider passing max tokens explicitly. No. This is supposed to be general purpose and allow for even very long prompts. Yeah. Remove the default and let callers pass it in, or default to none so the API uses its own server-side default. Use max. Yes. Well, how the hell could any of them compete? Maybe a lot of those models were good. I just truncated their output. All right, let's come over here. Tokens maxed. Jesus Christ. 4,000. So that's roughly 8 chapters of my book. I write very short chapters. Yeah, I think that that's fine. Okay, tokens. Where was the first one? How the hell did I miss the first one? Did I have like full word on or something? Mistral. Well, I replaced it with 4,000. Okay. Make sure they are all fixed, please. Okay, everything's now except Mistral. This relies on Mistrals. It's probably fine, but for consistency, you should. I'm not too worried about that. I'm not too worried about that. I think that the entire test is invalid. How much should I charge? Okay, it's not that crazy, but I mean, I don't want to. Okay, write-off results and write-off state. Conflicts refactor anyway. All right, now let's go into the write-off. Write-off results. Generate stories. Penguins. All right, let's come back here. Give me 10 new nouns for stories. Lighthouse, passport, ashes, violin, strangers, harvest, basement, uniform, telescope, debt. Sounds good. I'm going to rerun this, and then we are going to have our Premiere model key. It asks everything separately, but that's fine. I think I'll have this one come up with the ideas this time. Ideas per word, we're going to do less. Yeah. Okay. Check my script for anything stupid. The idea prompt says suitable for students, but the story prompt doesn't mention an audience. Your original had suitable for 11th graders. Was dropping the grade level intentional? Yes. Yeah. Clear endings, no cliffhanger, but you're capping at 400 words. Most of them sometimes rush the ending to fit the word count, which is exactly what a grader kept dinging. Okay, no timeout. That's fine. Where is the prompt? Suitable for students. Must include this exact word. Should be specific. No lists or multiple options. Write a piece of flash fiction. Strong hook in the first sentence. Clear ending. Do not mention that you are an AI. Or include word counts. Summary or... Okay. Story idea. Yes. Okay. Okay. Generate one flash fiction story. Generate one flash fiction story. Story idea. Generate one flash fiction story idea. It must include the exact word, 1 to 2 sentences. Write a piece of flash fiction based on the following idea. It should avoid horror, gore, and sex. Okay. How about this? And you won't get the rushed ending for 400 words. You might want to add avoid horror, gore, and sex to the story prompt too. Yes. Okay. Based on the following idea. Okay. Since this is for general audiences, avoid horror, gore, and sex. Okay. Now we're going to run this again. Okay. Okay, generating stories, pending tasks. This is going pretty fast. Maybe we can come over here into grading. Grade stories. Now I think that instead of sonnet we will use haiku, which is much cheaper. And it still seems to be pretty good. Pretty good, I think. Alright. Oh god, I didn't remove GPT Mini, did I? Okay. This might take a little while. Maybe I should pause it and come back when it's done. Oh, sorry, I forgot to resume, but I haven't been back for very long. Apparently, asking Mistral Medium for story ideas will always give you a retired blank. I probably should have asked Mistral Large or another Premier language model. And you know what? I knew that. The smaller models can act on a prompt, but when it comes to generating original ideas, they're not so great, which is why I had ChatGPT 5.2 generate the original story ideas. I didn't realize it would be this bad, but I think that I don't want to pick on Mistral Medium, but this is a little. It's actually kind of funny, but we'll see what they can do with it nonetheless. So dead code at the top. But that runs in the main loop. With no rubric means haiku is inventing its own. Max workers. No signal handling. Yeah, whatever. Grade stories. We'll see. What I'm really trying to do is trying to figure out if there's an outlier here. $300 already graded. Okay. Okay, so this should not take very long. And then we'll see what it did. Oh, I still haven't. Well, sorry. Try not to think out loud here. It's nothing to do with the video, so. Chores. in case you were curious. So read grades. Mistral small, Mistral medium. Okay. Evaluate the scores this time. Went from 8 to 94. It was completely broken before. Now that it's actually generating, it's blowing everything else away. That makes me very nervous because GPT-5 Mini is garbage. It has always been garbage. And if it's suddenly working right, then it's like, am I even calling the right thing? I'd be skeptical of the absolute scores. Everything jumped 20 points, and GPT-5 Mini seems suspiciously high. You removed the word count constraint from the story prompt. The models are now free. Maybe Haiku is too forgiving in the grading. Maybe it was a mistake to use it. The worst model is excellent and the best is near perfect. That's not a useful distribution. Use a stronger grader. Okay. Am I willing to blow 50 cents? Seems like just flushing money down the toilet, but all right, where are we? That's read grades. We want grade stories. Write-off results. Grader. Where is grader? We're not using Opus. That's for sure. But Sonnet, I think we can do Sonnet. Okay. Rerunning with Sonnet. This is interesting in its own regard. The same stories graded by two models in the same family. Okay, run. It means the grade inflation isn't a Haiku quirk, it's a prompt problem. Both models are using the same bare-bones grading prompt with no calibration anchors. Okay. So that means Haiku is not a bad grader, which means I just wasted 50 cents for no reason. Let's take a look. Jesus Christ, Luke. This is just grading. All right. All right. Actually, that makes me happy to hear. That means I can go. Wait a minute. Wrong chat. You've got your answer. GPT-5 Mini performs exceptionally with very simple story ideas and completely craps the bed with slightly more complicated ideas. Maybe that is okay. I still feel that Mistral Medium, Mistral Small is the best value case. Is this contraindicated by these recent results? Mistral Mistral Small scored 81 versus Mimi V2 Flash at 85. They're both the same price. That's the one result that challenges your thesis. Mimo is matching or beating Mistral Small consistently across both grading runs at identical cost. But you said earlier you valued consistency and the tightest IQR in the first run. If Mimo has higher variance, great or simple ideas, sloppy or complex, cheaper version of GPT-5 Mini, Mr. Small's reliability. Oh my god, there's a lot of words here. Worth running the quartile script on your new data to check if Mimo's Q1 scores are worse than Mistral's. What's the actual downstream use for these stories? Two potential uses, not as part of the same product. Reading prompts for native English speakers and reading prompts for ESL learners. Context changes things significantly. For both use cases, consistency matters more than ceiling quality. A brilliant story followed by a confusing one is worse than two solid ones. A student shouldn't have to struggle with writing when they're already struggling with reading. With the writing. Okay. The grading rubric has been measuring literary merit, but for your use cases, you probably care more about clarity, vocabulary control, consistent length, cultural accessibility, avoiding idioms and culture-specific references. Originality might actually be negative for ESL readers. I am going to hard disagree. I think that this is exactly the mindset why so many language programs are shit. But I will accept that it thinks that that's the case. A clever twist that a native speaker finds delightful could confuse someone parsing English at a structural level. Okay, I do. I'm not a complete asshole. I do see the point that it's making. I just think that coddling students makes them unable to understand things later. This actually strengthens the case for Mistral Small. It's never brilliant, never embarrassing. Profile is exactly what you want for pedagogical content. The models scoring 89 to 94 are probably more literary, stylistic, adventurous prose, which is the opposite of what an ESL learner needs. Rerun your grading with a prompt tailored to your real use case. All right. I think nothing has changed. I think Mistral Small is the best, and that other one, what was it? Mimi. Maybe I'm writing off GPT-5 too quickly. Show me a random GPT-5 story, please. Write off results. GPT-5 Mini. it is significantly longer. This is flash fiction. I will accept that this is a short story. I will not accept that this is flash fiction. But you know what? Maybe that's just fine. And maybe GPT-5 Mini is better at doing short stories when it doesn't have to worry about word length. So take it for, what it's worth. Premiere model key. Okay, maybe I wrote off GPT-5 Mini too soon. Okay, I need to think some more before I tell it to generate, 10,000 or 100,000 stories, though.